Hello ladies and gents, welcome to another Zia guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at House Lovekengj, I think that's how you say it, not entirely sure, it's a good guess I think, and this is the house that lets you do blast mining once you get the 100% favour. So I'm going to take you guys through the process of getting 100% favour, then I'm going to showcase a little bit of the blast mine. So the very first thing you should do when it comes to gaining favour and making dynamite in House Lovekengj is head to the other house, House Assiduous, the one that's all about farming and stuff, and go to the very south and you should find a pair of coal burners, or charcoal burners sorry, and a dwarf with a bank next to them. And you fill the burners with Juniper Logs. You get Juniper Logs just a little bit to the north above the cliff. There are two trees, and they work like every other tree that isn't a regular tree. They have multiple logs in it, and you stand there, chop them until you have 120 logs. There is a woodcutting requirement of 42, so if you aren't 42 woodcutting and you want to do this, you may need to get that level first. But you do need to get that level first in order to make dynamite, in order to gain favour, and in order to do the blast mine. Each burner can hold a maximum of 60 logs, and you may as well just fill up because it takes over 15 hours for the logs to turn into charcoal. So once you've filled up each burner, use a tinderbox on them, then the dwarf will charge you 600 GP per burner, so 1.2k in total, to keep an eye on it, just make sure that they don't burn, and that's the requirement. And once you've done this, you basically don't have to worry about it again unless you want to use over 6,000 dynamite, which I don't think is likely. One juniper log gives you 50 juniper charcoal after you've waited the 15 hours, and that charcoal was then used to make dynamite. And yeah, it's best doing this first because of the such long wait, and you get 6,000 out of it, which is not bad. And while you wait the long ass period while your charcoal burns, it's time to gather all of the other resources which you need 1,350 of in order to make dynamite. Starting off with the salt, just north of the charcoal burners and south of the bank, there are 5 different salt pits, and the pile of salt that you can dig spawns in one of those 5 spots randomly. So find it, dig it, and dig 1,350 salt. That much salt will make sure you get 100% favour at the end of making all the dynamite. And just in case you can't find it, here is the map of the salt pits. You can just see the 5 dots here located on the map north of the charcoal burners and south of the bank, like I said. And there are no requirements necessary. You don't need to get favour within House Assiduous to dig the salt. You can just grab a spade, use the bank and dig the salt free of charge, and you don't have to worry about anything else. You don't need any levels or nothing. It's also worth mentioning that you get 0 favour for doing everything that involves getting the resources for the TNT except mining sulphur. So the process of mining sulphur and actually finishing making the TNT are the only 2 things that grant you favour while doing this. Moving on to a second ingredient, which is Volcanic Sulfur. This is the thing that gives you favour. You get 0.026% favour per volcanic sulfur that you mine, so every 4 that you mine you get 0.1% favour, which is it's quite shit. It's kind of annoying because this place is such a pain in the ass to get sulfur from, and it's the only place you can get sulfur from. Also, this is a place you buy pots. You need the same amount of pots as you have ingredients, so you'll need 1,350 pots or more, and you buy them from that dwarf there, and there's a bank, the dwarf there, sorry, and there's a bank right next to them. So there are a few requirements in order to mine this sulfur. First, you need a pickaxe, and you need 42 mining. Second, you need a gas mask, a face mask, or a slayer helmet in order to be able to mine the rock. Without it you can't, because apparently the gas is too strong and you'll die if you do. You don't actually die. If you click on it nothing happens, but you can't mine it without the mask or whatever, something to cover your face. And also there are clouds to watch out for. You see the little clouds in the screen? If they hover over you or get very close to you, they will do continuous 1 or 2 damage. For me, this made the process extremely annoying. One of the most annoying things in Zia was mining this sulfur because of the continuous damage. I had to go to the Grand Exchange and buy some low level food, so every now and then when I go back to the bank I can heal up to full. Also, it's worth mentioning, if you die here, you lose everything. Well, you don't lose everything, but your items instantly appear on the floor to anyone else. So there's no 1 hour delay, there's no even 5-minute delay. If you die, your items appear instantly on the floor, and if someone else is there to pick it up, you'll lose your stuff unless you have a teleport there and are able to get back quickly. So if you are doing this, make sure you have nothing on you that you want to lose, just your pickaxe and the thing covering your face. And mining 1,350 sulphur, volcanic sulfur it's called, will get you to around 33% favour. It should increase it, should be a little bit over that, but it should be roughly 1/3. Mining sulphur gives you half the favour that creating dynamite does. So 1/3 comes from mining the sulphur, and the final 2/3 comes from actually mining the dynamite. That's why I said you should get 1350 of all ingredients and all items needed to make it, because once you've made it all, boom, 100% favour. I think that's maybe the 15th time I've mentioned this. I just want to reinforce the point so people know what I'm talking about. So yeah, now it's time to move on to the very last thing we need to make dynamite. Balls of wool. You need to buy 1350 balls of wool, and the best place to do this is in Net is not. Once again, all these RuneScape names I don't know if it's a correct pronunciation, but yeah, Net is not. There's a shop in the bank. You just trade the woman who's always walking right next to the bank chests, and she has a stock of 100 balls of wool. That means you'll have to hop to maybe 14 different worlds, buy out the stock. It shouldn't take you that long at all to do this. I'm unfortunate there isn't like a buy 50 option so you can fill up your inventory instantly. That would make the process a lot easier. And if you don't have access to Net is not, there is a different place you can buy balls of wool. However, it isn't right next to the bank. You have to take a little run. It is in the Lovekengj place within Zia, and there's a shop just southeast of the bank. I'm going to show you on the map real quick. So yeah, there's a general store just southeast of the bank, and that shop sells 30 wool, I believe. It's only 30 wool in stock, so obviously this place that I am in right now is better. But if you don't have access to this place, going to that Lovekengj general store is their second best bet, I imagine. And it takes a bit longer and it's a bit more tedious, so you should, if you don't have this Net is not thing, maybe you should consider doing the quest. Then finally you should have all of the ingredients. If you don't want to buy stuff from the stores, you can buy saltpetre out of the Grand Exchange for 300 each, and you can buy balls of wool out of the Grand Exchange. Whether or not they'll actually buy is a different story, but I think they're around 30 GP each, the same with pots. If you don't want to buy them out the store individually and you have the money to spend. But I grinded through all the resource gathering, and now I'm going to show you guys the best way to mix them together. So after you've waited a long time to get your charcoal, withdraw it all, withdraw 9 pots, withdraw 9 saltpetre, and withdraw 9 sulphur, and that should fit in your bag perfectly. And then you just use one on the other, and it should slowly fill up the pots with dynamite without a fuse. Then once you've mixed it all together, you should have 1350 or more dynamite pots with the same amount in wool. You withdraw 14 wool, fit 14 pots, and combine them until you have all of the until you have it all done. And combining the wool with the pots that already have dynamite in them is what gives you the favour. You get 0.05 favour per wool you use on a pot. And once again, you just use it once and it slowly does the process for you. You can click on it and make it faster, however that is click intensive. Then once you have made over 1350 dynamite, you should have 100% favour in the House Lovekengj. And before I go on to show you guys the blast mine, which requires 100% favour, I'm going to show off what this Shazane armour thing's all about. You can also earn favour by making Shazane equipment, but I mean, what's the point? I'm assuming that you're wanting to get favour in this house because you want to do the blast mine, not to make some crappy armour. If you wanted the crap armour, you should do the Shazane house and you get it a lot easier. So I've just finished making a bunch of armour, a full armour set of tier 2. At level 65 I can only make a full set of tier 2 armour, which is the second worst one there is. So it's a really high requirement. I don't get it, I don't know why it's so high, but yeah, it's such a high requirement that it doesn't really seem worth it. 65% favour only lets you build tier 2, and once you box a tier 2 set and give it to the correct dwarf, he only gives you 1% favour. So you go through all the process of mining the Lovekite ore, which is just outside this bank, getting coal, smelting it in the furnace that isn't next to a bank, it's in the middle of the Lovekengj district, and you use it on an anvil and you get 1% for all of it, and it doesn't really seem worth it. To be honest, if you're wanting fast favour, I still think mining sulphur and making dynamite, or just mining sulphur all the way, would be faster than making this armour, but that's just my opinion. If you want to do this stuff yourself, go ahead, and good luck. Here are the level requirements for Shazane armour. So at 65 you can start making tier 3 gloves, but at 63 you can make the full set of tier 2, and you get more you get more favour, sorry, when you hand in a full set of armour in a box instead of just handing it individually. So yeah, you want to make a full set and box up if you want maximum favour, and it just doesn't seem worth it. At 65 you can only make tier 3 gloves, so, and at smelting you need 45 smelting to make the bars, 1 Lovekite ore and 2 coal. All of that can be located outside the bank, which is just south of the sulphur pits. Now it is time to move on to blast mining. The reason we all get 100% favour in Lovekite is to explode walls and get ore for it. presumably a ton of ore. When you stick a TNT or dynamite inside a wall, big explosion, it rains down ore and stone. No, that doesn't happen. You get one blast ore for one dynamite, and one blast ore turns into 2 regular ores once it goes through the water process, just like in the Motherlode mine. So one dynamite technically equals 2 regular ores, and it's a bit slow. It's really slow and you have to click a lot. So you don't need a pickaxe for this, you just need a chisel, a tinderbox and your dynamite. You use the chisel to cut a hole in the wall for the dynamite to be placed in, then you use a tinderbox to light the dynamite, then you run. I think the radius is about 3 squares, so if you're within 3 squares in an explosion you get hurt about 10 or 15 damage. So yeah, that's what you need. You don't need a pickaxe or anything like that. What I was trying to do here was place 5 dynamite against the wall so I can then light them all one after the other, make it this like cool looking explosion where I get lots of ore. That doesn't happen. As you can see, that first one disappeared. So after, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds or so, the dynamite starts to disappear within the wall, and it's a bit disappointing that you can't do that. So I spent 5 dynamite to only light 3. That was my mistake. I had no idea that there was like this delay, and then as you can see, blowing up the wall drops 1 blasted ore. Another thing I learned while recording this was that the blasted ore despawns after a short time. As you can see, it's disappearing, and I panicked. I was like, what the fuck, why is it going away? Why is there a time limit on how long I can hold ore in my inventory? Why can't I just stockpile up 26 ore and then use it all in the thing at once? But for whatever reason, that's not an option. And so I had to quickly put it in there. So you can only carry maybe 4 at a time before it starts to disappear. I don't think there's a limit on how much you can carry. I think it's timed, but I wouldn't recommend holding on to any blasted ore for very long. And while you wait for it to slowly be processed through the cleaning, so you can then take out the regular ore, you may as well go back to putting more in the wall. Okay, I'm about to collect all the ore I have within here, and you get double the amount of blasted ore you have. So if you mined, or if you blasted 5 blasted ore, you use dynamite to get 5 blasted ore, you'll then get 10 different ores out of that once it's been through the cleaning process. And in my opinion, it's slow, you don't get a lot of XP, and it's not really worth it. It's not worth the time. It's not worth getting all those resources to make dynamite, to then put the fuse on a dynamite that takes a very long time to do all of that combined. Or you can just buy dynamite for like 700 GP out of the Grand Exchange. That's costly. It just doesn't seem worth it to me. But it being slow and pretty much worthless right now will change in the future. Mod Kieran has posted on Reddit with a couple of suggestions on how to make it a little less dead. He plans on boosting the XP and GP per hour rates, so this method of blast mining should become a little bit more popular, a little bit more favoured, and a little less useless, meaning that what I just said previously will change in the next couple of weeks if this update does come. So check the date that you're watching this video and check the date when this video was released, because if it's weeks apart, this update, which was suggested on Reddit, may have been implemented and it may not be worthless like I'm saying it is right now. And that is it for this guide to House Lovekengj. I'm still not sure if that's the right way to say it. I hope it helps you. I hope you now know how to get Favour and you aren't confused like I was when I was trying to level it up. And yeah, what I said about the blast mine was just my experience in the short amount of time I spent there. I'm not really big on mining and doing mining. I think it's a little bit boring just in general, and I've not really done a Motherlode mine either, but I have done it enough to know that I earn more XP, and I found myself wanting to do the Motherlode mine more than I was wanting to do the blast mine. Those are just my opinions. If you do it and you're happy with it and you want to keep doing it, more power to you. Once again, I hope this guide helps you in progressing through House Lovekengj, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time.